It's time for us to get on to our big story, the very first for this hour. The Nigerian Navy has once again launched a coordinated offensive against oil thieves in the Niger Delta, destroying 5 illegal refining sites in River State, according to reports from the Forward Operating Base Bonny. The raids were carried out along Bolo and Idama waterways in the state's coastal axis. And now, several large metal tanks, industrial ovens, and pumping machines, as well as sacks of illegally refined crude, were destroyed in the operation. The Navy says this is part of sustained efforts to curb oil theft and environmental degradation, two crimes that continue to sap Nigeria's economy and poison its fragile ecosystems. Now, despite the success of these raids, critics argue that the destruction of illegal refining sites often ignores deeper structural issues: chronic poverty, environmental injustice, and the absence of legal economic alternatives for host economies or host communities. Now, while security forces claim success, many locals say these operations as temporary relief that does little to address the long-standing socio-economic root causes of oil bunkering. At the heart of the issue lies a tension between security enforcement and development neglect.
So to help unpack the media narratives, of course, the public perception and the strategic implications of the operation, we're joined by Dr. Ibituru Pepple, lecturer at Federal University, Otuoke, Bios State Department, Journalism and Media Studies. You're welcome, sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pepple. Doctor, how do you interpret the Navy's continued destruction of illegal refining sites? Is it, necessary enforcement? Is this where our leakage is actually? How much of a dent does this do for their illegal operations?
Okay, I think one, we should go away from destructions. Now, to be sincere, the security agencies know about the operations of these syndicates. It is not just an operation that is done by locals. It is a syndicated body by experts and some persons within various sectors and individuals. When such sites are being discovered, the best thing is to take hold of that site, that is to confiscate the things there and know what next to do, either to send it to experts in the oil industry to be able to take it and then know what to do, either to go refine it themselves or into anything they want to do, but not actual destruction where they go to, they usually burn it and then it goes into the waters, destroying the aquatic life and then the entire ecosystem. So I think the Navy destroying sites is not the best. Mm-hmm. They should have experts among them that will see what is happening there. They are burning it. They usually will blow off the vessel. And then everything will now go down into the sea, which is not the right thing to do. They should have experts that will be able to coordinate these activities. And then, of course, it will help to preserve the environment.
Right. Now, I mean, Doctor, critics have said that, that these refining sites don't spring up overnight, right? So there must be intelligence at this point. What does their continued existence tell about the coordination or intelligence of security forces when it comes to our oil-rich Niger Delta?
Let me be sincere to you. Oil activities, especially oil bunkering in the Niger Delta, started with some coordinated attacks when some locals within the community felt they are not being carried along. Certain things that should be done for them are not being done. And then the persons that are being asked to go in and at least help fix things, that is, security agents, are not doing what they should do. Rather, they are part of the decay. Security agents are also part of the coordinated attack, because rather than to pull the people out from guiding those pipelines and ensuring that people do not vandalize them. They ate the vandalism. If you remember, there was a time Tom Polo was talking, and he said the core people who are into these things are military personnel. And so let's look at where people are guiding this pipeline, they're being paid to guide it. Of course, security personnel. And at the end of the day, people still get access to these things. And then these sites are not just being set up within a day. They take months and years to set up a site. You see that if you are flying across with chopper or helicopter along the Niger Delta regions, you will see these sites inside. You will see these sites inside the creeks. From the air, you see these sites. Do they mean that they cannot take charge of it? That's a question.
It's a very interesting question.
Are they saying that we don't have? Yes. Are they saying that we don't have intelligence reports? That's another question. Or do they lack equipment with which they could be able to track these sites? These are questions. We keep asking questions and questions.
Okay. Dr. Pepple.
I'm from Bonny. Yes.
Now, Dr. Pepple, there's a very interesting series of challenges here that you've noted from your very first entry. You talked about the degradation of the environment, which is a very big concern, and to note that the authorities are not putting this into consideration when they destroy these bunkering sites. You've also talked about the complicity of the authorities themselves. I think last year, investigative journalist Fisar Shoyombo was arrested, and he claimed that his arrest was under the guise of, well, the authorities trying to do their job, but he says that they were trying to cover up some illegal findings that he uncovered. Since then up until now, 5 of these sites have been destroyed from the dailies, as we can read. Are we saying that perhaps maybe the authorities have woken up to their responsibility and are destroying these illegal refinery sites? If that is so, 5 sites, is that a good number? Because from your description, you're telling us that there are numerous of these facilities, illegal facilities. So I'm kind of like wondering whether 5 is a good number to celebrate.
Not really. You see, let me tell you, the creeks are very vast when you come to the riverine environment. The creeks are very vast. You find out that these security agents, especially the Navy and the police, they already know this terrain. They have involvement. Let us not deceive ourselves. If actually the government wants to do something, because there is this lack of political will to do anything, the people talking about it, no, because the people involved are very powerful individuals. They are very powerful individuals. They are not people like me. They are not the fishermen fishing along the creeks. They are people who pull their resources from very high authoritative area. There are people who have international dealings involved with some national syndicates. I won't call local. And so it is well organized. And so when they come to tell you that, oh, we have been able to confiscate 5 illegal bunkering sites, when there are many more inside the creeks, it will take nothing for a jet or whatever to go around the area, and then we take a fee of the sites, and then they could do something by not just going to bomb, because bombing is not the best. Destruction by burning is not the best. What they will do is to have a group of experts from the oil industry going there and either taking over that place and knowing how to evacuate those products within a space of time, and not doing what I see as eye service.
And Dr. Pepple, for most of these communities that engage in these illegal activities, for them it's kind of like the last resort. They have nothing else to do. Are there solutions, sustainable solutions, maybe policies that could help provide economic alternative for these communities? Are these destruction of these sites helping the community in any way or putting them even deeper into strife?
No, they don't put them into deeper problem, economic problems, because their aquatic life is destroyed. Their farms are destroyed because these products, when destroyed in that manner, they do it because it is not with any specific, experts way of doing it, expert method. They just go in, just blow it, and it goes into the waters and into their farmlands and causing more economic hardship. Now, I believe that if the petroleum industry law that has been passed is taken into cognizance, when the letters of it and the dictates are being looked into, some locals will not want to be involved because they will be carried along. But what is there is that in Nigeria, laws are made, not implemented. And so it's only you hear about experts coming to talk about it, the benefits and so on. But the people that are directly involved and affected do not in any way benefit. You see that the people suffer. And then when they're already lacking, when they're in need, when they do not have access to livelihood, when the environment has been destroyed, what do you expect of them? Sometimes they find themselves going into joy with this person because it's within the environment they come to perpetrate this evil act. And so they will join them sometimes to get some peanuts, not necessarily that they are having like this, to be able to help their livelihood. So that's the situation on ground. And so even the oil companies operating within the environment do not carry these locals along in what is expected of them to get. And so when the only source is getting into the oil companies, which is not possible, and what would they do? And wanting to survive, they go into this illegal bunkering on their own too. And know that locals cannot go and bust pipelines to drill oils. They need experts who themselves organize. They help to pierce it, and then they'll be able to get what they want alongside those other experts. So it's an organized, syndicated activity.
Now, you say it's an organized, syndicated activity.
Are you with me?
Yes, of course. Now, from time memorial, for as long as we remember, as long as the oil was found in the Niger Delta, whether it was Bayelsa or Rivers State, oil bunkering has become somewhat of a way of life, for certain individuals in that part of the region. And so it's a long-term issue, it's a long-age issue in the Niger Delta. And when you look at the environmental degradation, then it means that also the locals are sort of also adding or aiding at this point to the environmental degradation that we're seeing in the Niger Delta. But specifically, this...
not have the technology to drill that and go into it. That's why I'm trying to tell you that it's an organized, syndicated criminal activity.
Right.
The locals cannot.
Right. So if you're saying... Right. So if you're saying that the locals cannot do it, the locals do, of course, may know where these locations are. 5 out of I don't know how many that scattered across rivers and, of course, Bayelsa as well. And so it begs to ask the question about the syndicates itself. A long-age problem of bunkering that affects the nerve in terms of revenue for the country, Commonwealth. How can we solve it, a long-lasting solution to the oil bunkering, illegal oil bunkering in the Niger Delta, holistically?
It's just political will. The government lacks the political will to execute it.
Is it political will
really
or
want this thing to stop?
Right?
To stop.
Right. So
time.
I have to ask at this point.
It's the government.
I'm glad you're saying political will, because it begs to ask the question: is it political will or the lack of developmental mandate for the Niger Delta? Because we're supposed to clean up the oils, the communities were supposed to benefit. I mean, if the Commonwealth of Nigeria is coming out from the Niger Delta, it's supposed to be as developed as possible. Clean roads, hoping to be maybe a small Dubai at this point. But it is as impoverished as can be, in spite of the fact that the roads or the creeks flow with milk and honey, black gold. And so, is it political will or just neglect, developmental neglect on the Niger Delta?
No, another case in point. If you want to talk about the developmental will, it's another one. Political will to curb this vandalism. People are benefiting. Now, when people are benefiting, it is difficult for you to stop them, especially when the people that are supposed to curb this illegality are part of the illegality. How then do you get results? And of course, development is by the way. If government wants to do a thing, government will do it. But when government does not have that will to do it, it remains the way it is. Now let's look, in the early 70s, we are not having such stories. In the early 80s, little or none. It was more of some organized big boys from within Lagos at that time, not Abuja. Then within the 2000, then we had well-organized bunkering activity. Individuals and some military forces joined hands in collaboration to perpetrate this act. So how would you, the locals, fight people with arms? Because the more they sell the oil, the more they equip themselves with arms. And when somebody is armed, very sophisticated weapons, how would you, as a local, fight such a people? Of course you cannot. Rather, they said if you can't beat them, you see yourself joining them. And that is what is happening.
Very unfortunate.
Because some persons within the community also would want to survive. And that's a survival strategy because of poor economic network.
And so it's back to that developmental neglect that we talked about, right? Because if you're saying that, you know, survival is at the heart of this, the Niger Delta have been neglected, you know, thanks to the president. The Ogoni 9 has just been recognized for their hard work and for their call of the cleanup in the Ogoni and the Niger Delta, but still the problem persists. Rehabilitative intervention, what would it look like for the Niger Delta?
Of course, rehabilitation, every day they're talking about it. We have the remediation efforts going on in Ogoni with high prep. The question is, what is happening? You are remediating, you are trying to clean up, and they are still busting pipelines every other day. They are still blowing. The military, without expertise, are also destroying more bunkering sites, causing more pollution and degrading the environment further. So what do you think? We are going around a vicious circle. There is need for stakeholders and every other person, the locals, to come together and think of a solution to this. It's not by blowing facilities or that will help. It is causing, look at the smoke there from the boats. It's also causing health pollution and health hazards. And then the waters, the aquatic life. You can't fish again in the Niger Delta. And then people who farm also suffer because they cannot have yields from their farms. So what do you think? It's a vicious cycle.
Dr. Pepple.
That's where government comes in.
Right,
What
Dr.
people
Pepple.
want to do.
So thank you very much for that suggestion.
Thank you.
It's a stakeholders matter. People need to come together,
Yes.
the authorities, the people themselves, to help find a solution to these problems in the Niger Delta. Thank you for joining us inside our middle hour here for this conversation.